Hi, Macy. Time for question number 5. Who are some well-known leaders that I respect or even try to emulate? Well, that's a fair question, but I don't think I'm going to have the typical answer for you. It's not going to be the normal Bezos, those types of people. It's going to be because I'm such a learner. That's my number one driving uh, characteristic is learning new things. So the people that I've studied are typically people that study business and study leadership, and those people have the most influence on me. So I hope this works out. Um, I think one of my favorites, or I'll list my top two favorites first. I mean, it's kind of six of one and half dozen the other, but Jim Collins, author of books like Good to Great, um, and those types of books, I've read most of them. I think I learned more about business and how successful how businesses maintain long-term success from books by Jim Collins. The thing I like most about him, what appeals to me most about him, is he did a tremendous amount of research into what types of leadership and principles make companies successful. Rather than the approach of, here's a management style, emulate this management style, and follow these things. He was much more broader in both the leadership and strategies and principles and methodologies um, for success. And the way he did that was by researching hundreds of companies that have had long-term success and became great companies like 3M. Um, and by study, he did a comparison study. He studied 20 companies. I think I have that number right. I want to say his control groups were, it may have been a dozen to 20 companies that have been successful for many, many years, and the foundational principles that made them successful versus companies that had reached a level of success but didn't maintain that success. And so from that group, you extrapolate the things they all have in common, or at least the majority of them have in common. And so he was able to say, hey, here's what we know about long-term successful, great companies. Companies that were not only good and successful, but became great in their industry by isolating common principles and methodologies in common with those um, to success. The second, I think, most influential um, towards how I view leadership and who I would want to emulate would be Stephen R. Covey, with books such as The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, The Eighth Habit, and many other studies that he did. Um, I've taught those classes several times in organizations that I work for. I think the 7 Habits are core foundational material that everyone should know and understand and practice in any organization. And it doesn't just teach you how to be a good leader, but how to be a good follower and how to become a good leader and what it means to be a member of the team. So I have some honorary mentions here that I would say were highly influential in my development, and not just influential, but you will hear me reference their concepts a lot. If you were to go and read a bunch of books after knowing me, you would say, that's where Craig got that. And so what's the word? They had an impact on me. and you will see them in the things that I do. Uh, Simon Sinek, um, Start with Why. Um, I believe in my last video we talked about uh, helping people understand your why. Understanding the why behind is the key to uh, motivating people to follow you. Um, so definitely recommend that book and pretty much all things Simon Sinek. I think it's easy to fall into the trap that he lays. It's so ideal, and then it gets frustrating when you don't really find a company with those kinds of ideals, and you have to kind of settle for, hey, I need to be the change that I want to see in companies and in the world, and so he's a good one. I think another highly impactful in my leadership skills has been Patrick Lencioni. He is the author of Five Dysfunctions of a Team and a recent book called The Advantage. Very sound business principles. It really talks about uh, establishing trust, um, how to deal with conflict, uh, commitment, ownership, and the uh, the last one escapes me right now. Oh, follow the results and pay attention to the results. And those are just core principles that are very sound. How to build a strong team, a highly functional team, and it involves those five things. Um, Accountability is number 4, by the way. I think I said something else, but finally, I'll give another mention for a book I read recently, and someone who I do admire that's actually a leader of a company was Ray Dalio. I had a lot of good takeaways. His book called Principles, Life, and Work. A lot of good takeaways from there. The machine model I adopted and used in helping my managers understanding how to diagnose and how to find problems within the team by seeing a mental model of how teams work and how we deliver goods and services to our customers and how to track down where problems lie. So those are, I guess, 5 of my top influencers, people that I highly respect their careers and what they've learned about leadership and certainly what they've taught me about leadership. Hope this helps. Thanks, Macy.